All right. Let my partner clear off his screen here a little bit.
There you go. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, all. Welcome to Brown and Browner, the Week 3 edition of the NFL, amongst a lot of other things going on, obviously. We'll recap the NFL a little bit here. We'll go into some of the details of the teams that are doing good and bad and everything else in between. But it's definitely been an entertaining week of football, and glad to see we're back in that season again.
Yeah, me too. I think there have been some great stories, some sad stories too. And just so if you didn't know, we're Brown and Browner. He's brown, and I'm a little browner.
That's right.
But let's talk about it. We could go through some things. We could talk about one of the key injuries that happened last week, which is just a sad thing.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and hit the teams, and we can go through each one of the different stories behind the matchups as we go along. First matchup tonight, Dolphins, Bills. Is this a matchup? That's the question I have. Or is this just
blowout? I'm smelling blowout. I think the Bills are going to take this opportunity to go fine-tune some of their other weak spots in their lineup, just like they did last week, where Josh Allen doesn't have to carry the team. They got other weapons, other things. I think they're going to try to dial up their defense, get it a little bit better. Miami is the laughing stock in the NFL. Let's keep it simple as that. They are the laughing stock in the NFL. We could say a lot of things about other teams, but frankly, when your coach comes out there and says, mutters through an entire press conference that he doesn't even make sense at, and then you have no leadership on the field, you've got angst between your quarterback, wide receivers, and everything else, there's no control in that locker room. It's a joke.
Yeah, I agree with that. He started out as promising of a coach.
Mike McDaniel, yep.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel looked good initially.
Yep.
I don't know. Has his voice sort of been tuned out now? And you have a lot of these factions within their team, especially with Tyreek Hill blowing his mouth off and from being so emotional and having the off the field issues. Is this team imploding, and will Mike have a job next year?
I mean, no offense to the word ageism, but when you bring in a young coach like a Mike McDaniels, a Sean McVay, and all of these guys in their mid-30s or whatever, and they're about the same age as some of the players that are on the field, it's hard to get credence unless you've played and had the experience, like a Mike Vrabel, who can stand in the locker room and tell you toe-to-toe, versus other guys that have been, quote-unquote, the books guys, which is what Mike McDaniel was. He was a disciple of coaching, not a player. And it's hard to get credibility and value talking to players that have egos at the NFL level, especially like the Tyreek Hills and everybody else that's in that locker room. So has he lost the locker room in that respect? I think so. I definitely think so. I think he came in with a great thought of how to use the offense and dynamicism and the offense and all that stuff, but it's worn off in year 2, year 3, year 4. Every year it's a diminished return because there's no more inventiveness left. And because you don't have control over locker room, you don't have the personnel you need to execute that plan, whatever that dream scenario is for him. They've lost better players than they've gained, in my opinion. Raheem Mostert, I think that was a big loss for them.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. Frankly, it's Miami. There's too many other distractions going on in that city for these players.
I agree with that. I mean, it's a great place to bring people if you're really trying to tout, hey, come to our team and we live in Miami. But you also have to exhibit a certain amount of professionalism, decorum, and I just don't see that anymore on their team.
Yeah, my partner and I were talking about hunger and desire a little bit earlier in terms of players and things like that. Miami's one place there is no hunger and desire to succeed.
Doesn't appear to be at all, and I just see them free falling now. I thought they might have a chance to make the playoffs, but they have a chance to be the worst team in the AFC East. That's what that looks like.
We could see 0-17 for the first time. It's going to be interesting.
It would be interesting. I hope not, but not looking good, guys.
Don Shula rolling over. Let's put it that way.
All right. Next on tap, we have the Bengals visiting Minnesota. Minnesota looked really flat after coming back against the Bears week 1. Cincinnati is now relying on their backup QB, who is that, Browning?
Browning, yep. And frankly, sucks to lose Joe Burrow. Don't get me wrong. At the same time, do I feel like they're still going to be great? Yeah, I think so. I think John Browning doesn't get the credit he deserves because he stepped in multiple times now over multiple years, and he's done the serviceable job as a backup quarterback. In fact, he's probably, I think there was a commentator, I think, quoted yesterday, is like, yeah, I think he's better than a third of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm like, I think you're right. Because the guy's that had the experience. He's played behind Burrow. He's getting there. He gets the offense already because he's been into the same coaching regime, luckily, not like other players. You know, there's stability there. And frankly, you have some of the best weapons on the field in that offense. So will it survive? Yeah. That defense? Hell no.
Well, I guess my pick for this, honestly, will the Vikings horn even play? Even though the Bengals defense is suspect, I'm just not sure where they are. I mean, without a big comeback against the Bears, they really had only scored single-digit points.
Now with JJ McCarthy injured and everything else, like it's not looking too great for the Vikings in terms of stability. It makes them wonder, hey, maybe we should have kept Kirk Cousins way back in the day as a backup or whatever.
You know,
a lot of people are asking for that one. Even the Bengals supposedly were like, hey, should we call Kirk?
So I'm picking the Bengals actually in an upset, and I say upset only because they're playing on the road. That's the only reason.
I'll go with the Bengals. I think they're offensively a little bit stronger than the Vikings are. It's great to see Justin Jefferson versus Jamar Chase, but frankly, that's not a one-on-one matchup on the field. It's who gets them the ball, and I think Browning's there to do that.
Right.
Yep.
I already got people who want to talk to me this morning, and they're going to have to wait. That probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, so next on tap, I got the Texans visiting the Jaguars. This is going to be an interesting game.
Interesting matchup. Lord Farquaad and the boys are playing fairly well, I have to say. The Magic Kingdom in the Woods is actually playing well. They got the right characters and everything else going. Travis Hunter's there. They're not bad. And honestly, I'd like to see them play a better team. So let's see what happens. Now the Texans, I predicted that they would lose, and they did. But at the same time, CJ Stroud doesn't look like CJ Stroud in year one.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, and Nico Collins has taken a step back since his injury. Like they've got a lot of things going backwards in that organization.
Yeah, Nico?
Yeah, exactly. and now you're going back to Nick Chubb because your other running back is injured, and you still can't get the core right. For them, I think on both sides of the ball, it's their offensive defensive line for Houston that really can't get them going because they got pieces and weapons, they just can't get it going.
Yep. Who do you got?
Tough one, honestly, but I'm going to go with Lord Farquaad. I'm going with the Jags on this one. They're looking solid, and frankly, I haven't seen weaknesses in their team yet. Not to say that they're an elite team in any fashion. They haven't proven themselves yet against a bad team, but I don't see them as a team that's not hungry because I think they're hungry. I think they've got a chip on their shoulder for proving everybody wrong right now. I like the Jags.
I'm actually gonna wait. You said the Jags or the Texans?
The Jags.
Yeah. I am going to go with the upset here. I'm going to take the Texans. I think they're going to right the ship. I think their defense is better than we think.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on Lord Farquaad's Prince Charming, which is what which is what the QB looks like to me. Yep. I think he has the ability, just hasn't shown it yet. I'm not sold on Travis Hunter yet either. I don't know if he's really that big of a game changer considering where he was picked.
Well, the funny thing is between Hunter and I forget their other receiver, they've got more receptions than Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas has been dead quiet so far this year.
Brian Thomas dropped a ball at near the goal line that on a fourth down that would have helped them win, helped them move and win that game. So, you will see what happens. Brian Thomas is supposed to be their best receiver, but maybe he's not anymore.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it'll be an interesting matchup between the two. It'll be a proving ground between both teams. But like I said, I'm going Jags, you're going Houston. Here's our differentiator.
We can't pick always the same picks. Otherwise, we just sound like we're parroting each other. Right?
Exactly.
All right. Next on tap, I got the surprising Colts visiting the lowly Titans.
I'm buying the Colts pretty easy on this one. The Titans still have, a lot of struggles as a young team that's still kind of building off of a new quarterback and everything else. Colts are looking solid. Danny Dimes got command of that offense. I got to give him credit. Jonathan Taylor's healthy. They've got a lot of things going in the right direction. Their defense is pretty good. They've got the things in that. Again, one of those divisions that's pretty weak as the AFC South.
This is true.
And they're going to only gain confidence from here. So I like the Colts.
I'm with you on liking the Colts for the very reasons you mentioned. I do think eventually the roll of dimes that Danny has right now is going to run out. But we'll see when that
Yep.
happens, but they do have Jonathan Taylor. They've got a decent receiver core with Pittman, Downs, a good tight end. So they have the pieces. Their defense has always been pretty decent. I think it sort of is dictated by how their offense goes. If they're constantly chasing, I think it's going to be not bode well for the defense. But if they can get a lead, I think the defense can help them hold that lead. So
100%.
I do think the Colts will win this game. We'll see how they perform for the rest of the year.
Agreed. Yep, absolutely.
All right. I got next on tap. I don't know how much we need to talk about this game, but there is one element to this that might, sway your thoughts here. Raiders in Washington.
Raiders are struggling. Washington's going to be interesting because Jaden Daniels is injured. Can they still survive without him? Yeah, I think they can. And it's in Washington. I like the Commanders in the game. Raiders got to get their shit together. Gino hasn't been able to be Gino. They haven't used their weapons hardly at all. Brock's still quiet. Everything's quiet out there. Janty is
the great tight end.
Janty is arguably the worst pass blocker I've ever seen. The guy can be a running back, but he is not a teammate.
He'll learn. I think he'll learn that, but I totally agree. Like, what happened to what people thought the Raiders would be, with Pete Carroll coming aboard and infusing that energy that he has for a 70-year-old, thought they were going to do better than what they've shown thus far. And you're right. Where is Brock Bowers?
Yep. I saw a great meme. John Harbaugh owns Pete Carroll at this point.
I own you.
He owned him at Stanford. He owned him at Michigan. Sad to see last week, but it is what it is. The Chargers are a different matter. They're a good team, but needless to say, I think in this game, I'd go Raiders are going to lose, obviously.
Yeah, I would think so, and that's actually the dangerous part, especially if Daniels doesn't start. Is could the Raiders pull off the upset? They have the weapons, they just haven't been able to pull them out of the holsters to be able to use them.
I'm selfishly hoping for Ja'Cory/Bill to have a big game running back wise.
Is that a fantasy thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next, I got this will be an interesting matchup, and it's a rematch of last year's NFC playoffs. Rams-Eagles in Philly.
Yep, interesting matchup. Rams are on the come up. I think they were getting a lot of flack for some injuries potentially with Stafford and everything else, but honestly, they're playing well. Supposedly their defense has played well. I haven't watched them enough probably to appreciate the fact that their defense is back on track. But this is the Eagles. They're in Philadelphia. They're playing really well. They're able to win ugly games, just like what happened last week with the Chiefs, honestly. And if they can continue to do that, I don't see what's going to stop this team, honestly. I really don't.
I'm with you on that to some degree. I guess my biggest thing is, the Rams are 2-0, but if you look at who they played a Texans team that didn't play well, and then they came back and played the Titans.
Yep.
So I don't think there's enough I don't know, a competition to really understand what level that they're at right now. They have the weapons. I think adding Devontae was a great thing for them. They show the potential on offense. I'm not sure about their defense given the teams that they played and how they played. It's hard to go against the Eagles. You said Eagles. You're taking Eagles on this one?
Yes.
It's hard to go against the Eagles. And I want to ask you this question because there's been a lot of talk about this. Should the tush push be removed?
I don't think you remove it, but they need to enforce it better. And that case in point, we saw a couple, penalties that went under the table
against our Chiefs.
Yeah, and again, I'm not speaking from bias, but simple fact, video doesn't lie in this situation. Your linemen cheat over to create the wedge that creates the push at the end of the day, and that's how the whole thing operates.
Yep.
Sorry, but it is a legal play. If you go back to 1930s football, you push the ball in a scrum, like how the game was built to be played. So it's no different than a running back running the ball. In this case, your quarterback's pushing it through. So you don't stop the play from happening. What you do is you do better enforcement of how the play is executed, and you call the line for what it is. When you see a team line up for it, your ref should be right on top of it. They should be able to call those offsides. Absolutely.
That's right, and I think they should literally do like Carmelo. What was his name? Carmelo Villegas. When he used to get down on the ground, literally. I think that they should have a ref right there because if you're already lined up off sides and you're going for the ball, you have a distinct advantage.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I would have to say about that is a couple of things. One, this isn't rugby. This is football.
Right.
Okay. That's a rugby type play. I initially thought, oh, you know what? They invented something new. Shouldn't be this loud. Other teams need to, figure out how to, defend against that. However, seeing that they're giving that outside, seeing that they're pushing the guy, plus, there used to be a rule. You couldn't do this years ago. You couldn't the guy into the end zone. That was a penalty. You can't pull a guy. You can't do that. You still can't pull a guy. But apparently, as long as you, finally in the buttocks, it's okay.
Exactly.
Damn, Jalen, you got a nice ass.
Yeah, and give him a little Jeffrey Epstein treatment apparently, and push him through or whatever.
Oh, wow. And that's why this isn't for kids, y'all.
Absolutely.
All right, I got the Eagles as well, but I think that the Rams, depending on how that game goes, have an opportunity. And I think Philly still needs to figure out how to actually get more explosive plays. They've had a couple, but I think that was the thing that sort of separated them. Besides Saquon Barkley providing that from the backfield, is also being able to get Brown and Smith.
As far as I'm concerned, AJ Brown's finished 6 novels already this year on the sideline. Probably, it's been nuts. They just not used whatsoever.
But we shall see on that one. I think the Eagles right now, they still look like the best team in the NFL, sans Buffalo Bills, but it's too early to really make those comments and predictions about who's going to win the Super Bowl, etc. There's a long season to play. Injuries do come into play, and teams just inevitably have these little funk periods during the season. So we'll see what happens.
And on a side note, I'm putting another AFC team over the Bills right now, but I'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that in a minute too, because I don't disagree with you with regard to who's a better team, even though they might have lost. All right, so we got Falcons Panthers. I'm not sure if this is going to be an interesting game or just a really boring game. It'll be like watching baseball, where you go and cook your meal, and you come back and you see a couple plays, and cook your meal, come back and see a couple plays, and nobody's doing anything.
Yep. I don't disagree.
But I still think right now the Panthers look little, I don't know. I thought they were going to be a little bit better coming out the gate. They haven't really shown that yet. I got to take the Falcons.
Yeah, I think Falcons on this one. I like how hungry Michael Penix is to prove himself right now. I think they got the right pieces. They need to figure out the coaching. They need to figure out the play calling and stuff like that in Atlanta. But I like them over the Panthers, who frankly just don't have the manpower to, sustain a decent, game plan at this point.
Agreed. Next another interesting game. The Steelers are visiting the Patriots.
Yes. And some people see this as an interesting, well, I wouldn't call it trap game because, both teams are still kind of mediocre, but people are expecting the Steelers, I think, to win. However, I like what Mike Vrabel is doing in New England. I like the brand of football he's playing in New England. It's hard-nosed, gritty football. Drake May is playing better than Drake from Canada, which is a great thing. They got a running game. They got a good setup. The Steelers, they seem still shaky, and a part of that is the Aaron Rodgers problem, I think, to some degree. You had a couple drop balls from his receivers. There's issues there. So honestly, I'm going to take Patriots in New England on this one. As much as I want to take the Steelers, I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots are at home, and I do like Vrabel. Always like Vrabel. I think he's done a great job coaching and was a decent player. I just never been a Patriots fan, period, as well as they've been and all of that stuff. I do think that they are showing some strides as far as becoming a better team. The Steelers, on the other hand, have looked un-Steeler-like.
Yes.
When it comes to their defense, and when it comes to one of the key aspects that I've always seen, going back to Jerome Bettis and Franco Harris, where's their running game?
Yep. Jalen and the boys, that whole backfield, it's like, I mean, at this point, you're talking Kenneth Gainwell coming in and trying to create stability. That's your third string. It's crazy.
That is crazy. And I think they still are suffering, as you mentioned, wide receivers dropping the ball.
I'm looking that up to their offensive coordinator, Arthur, or whatever his name is. I've never bought into the guy, Arthur Smith, or whatever the hell they claim that this guy's an offensive guru. I have yet to see a single place where he succeeded. ever. Atlanta as a head coach. He failed as an offensive coordinator everywhere else. This dude is not a quality coordinator. So at the end of the day, hand the playbook back over to Mike Tomlin. That's what I say.
Well, we'll see what Smith does. I'm still waiting for the implosion when they start losing and the team members like Metcalf, who is a serious diva when he's not winning and getting the ball. Rodgers when they're losing, and he always is getting those questions about losing. But I don't think it's going to happen yet. I do think that Mike Tomlin is going to rally these guys and say, hey, you guys were feeling great about yourselves after week 1. How do you feel now? And are you hungry enough to go out there and do the things that we practice all week to be successful?
I mean, the way you got to think about it is the Steelers, this is their basement level of their defense. These last 2 games have been horrible for them on defense. The only way up is up. And they've got the talent to do it. You've got Watt. You've got Minka. You got all those cats up there. I mean, like, they're not playing like it, though. Into games for ugly games. It's a matter of then for the offense to produce. So it'll be time. But no, like I said, I'm going to go with the Patriots only because of the hard-nosed mentality of Vrabel's got going. But it sounds like you got the Steelers potentially. Is that right?
You got the Steelers. I'm going to go again with the visitor. I do think the Patriots still struggle a bit, even though Stevenson looked a little better the second week than the first week. I'm going to put my hat on the Steelers defense and Rodgers just doing enough for them to beat the Patriots.
Makes sense.
So we got a couple of deviations this week. Good to see that.
Be good to see. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This next game, I'm just going to go through this real quick. Packers-Browns, what is there to talk about? Packers look great having Micah. Their offense is looking much better. The Browns are the Browns. I'm sorry, but your best receiver, Jerry Jeudy, doesn't do a whole lot.
Judy's looking like Aunt Judy. It ain't helping.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the Judy that we thought coming out of college was going to be a hit in Denver, and now is in Cleveland. So we'll see what happens, but I can't see the Packers, even with the defense that Cleveland or the Browns have, or, maybe it's just one guy on their defense, but still, I see the Packers winning that, and it might be a blowout.
Yeah, the Packers are playing solid ball right now. I still don't buy their offense other than Aaron Jones, honestly. Or not Aaron. Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, is it Aaron Jones? No. Yeah, no. Sorry.
No, Aaron Jones. He moves on to Minnesota.
Jacobs, that dude. There's no question. Right. Frankly, I still don't buy their receiving core. I think it's still mediocre, but we'll see how that comes to fruition. Especially they lost one receiver, I believe, Reed, for the season now. So they'll have to figure out the pieces there, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, this should be a Packer blowout. Their defense is elite. It's got the right pieces.
I think so, and they're constantly seeing the odds drop for them to win the NFC Championship as well as the Super Bowl. I think they're one of the teams trending in the right direction, and we might see a lot of them in the playoffs, and they may become the team to beat depending on what happens to the Eagles and the Lions and the.
Yep.
Next, this will be a quick one too, I think. Jets visiting the Bucks. I just got to say this. Baker, I know, and I said this before, maybe in week 1, you don't have all of you don't hit all the bells and whistles when it looks at the arm or the speed or this. But you know what? You're a real NFL quarterback. You remind me of Jim McMahon when the Bears were good back in the 80s. People said he wasn't really a great quarterback, but all he did was win. And that's what you do, baby. So you keep doing what you're doing. Baker, you keep baking, you make those pies and cakes, and you keep taking them out.
He reminds me of this is gonna seem like an odd analogy. Do you remember Jeff Garcia with the 49ers?
Yeah, he was another one of those guys.
He was a winner. I don't care what anyone says, dude was a winner. He had to get the ball to he was a winner. This guy gets the ball to Mike Evans, he's a winner. There is no question. And Tampa Bay has got the culture, the brand, everything else. They've got a good defense. They're playing in a weak division. I love this team. I mean, some people are anointing them to be the second best team in the NFC. I think it's a little premature for that. But
I agree. Yeah, it's a little premature.
Do I love this team and their makeup and the way they're going to ascend throughout the season? Absolutely. I think they're going to be one of the strongest contenders. There is no question.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a tough out for any team each week. And they just have enough defense. I think Todd Bowles has really set the right kind of culture, sort of like a Mike Tomlin did in Pittsburgh, where they're always in it. You may not think they have the best weapons or the best this or the best that, but boy, they win a lot of games.
Yep, absolutely. No,
and they even won in the playoffs too.
Exactly. No, I think it's an easy
Which
pick over the
Tomlin
Jets.
doesn't.
Jets are still trying to figure out their footing at the end of the day. And Tampa's on the ascendancy. They're looking good. They're looking really good.
Yeah, I think Aaron Glenn might regret coming back to New York. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You want to
not a job people want.
And now the Fields is out too, and you got a journeyman that's played on like 6 different NFL teams taking the helm. He might be able to do something, but he's not going to do enough against the Bucs.
No, not going to happen. And I feel bad for guys like Garrett Wilson, who guys with exceptional talent, but somebody's got to get him the ball at the end of the day.
Yeah, they've more like cars than jets. They might be buses. That's what they call the New York buses, not the New York Jets.
It's true. Very true.
Right. Next on tap, we got which is going to be a really good AFC West matchup with the Broncos visiting the Chargers. And I'm sorry, I still, in my mind, they're the San Diego Chargers.
It's San Diego. Yes, it's Whale's vagina. It's still San Diego at the end of the day. So San Diego, I love this team. I love the grit they have right now. I think they're clicking in all cylinders on that offense. They figured it out on how to make all these pieces move. As long as they stay healthy, I think they'll contend. The defense, I think Khalil Mack is kind of injured, but he'll be back kind of thing is what it sounds like. But
that was nasty getting hit by your own guy and almost breaking your arm.
Yeah, but it sounds like he'll be okay, whether he plays this week or not. I like them. I think it's going to be a gritty, close game because I think Broncos like to keep it close. And frankly, they have the pieces defensively to slow down San Diego. But because this game is in San Diego, a.k.a. LA, I'm going to go with the Chargers because they're finally back home after a 2-week stretch of going to Brazil and another road game and all that. I like them. I do like this game close, though, because I do like what the Broncos are doing. Their offense seems a little slow, though, compared to last year. Bo Nix isn't quite Bo Nix yet.
I agree with that. But I think the Broncos are going to start doing some things. I think they're going to get things righted.
Yeah.
The
running game needs to pick up for them.
Yeah, the Chargers don't look bad. If Khalil Mack doesn't play, I think they're going to lose something on defense.
Yeah.
I'm as much as I want to say, the Chargers should win this game. I think the Broncos are going to recover from what they did last week. I think that they're going to, it's going to be a close game, but I think that the Broncos are going to pull this one out like 24-20, 24-23, something like that.
I can see that.
Saints Seahawks, not a whole lot to talk about here, just a little alliteration with the names, but other than that, I'm not sold on either one of these teams.
I think because the game in Seattle, I'm going Seattle. It's a simple one there. The Saints, they're in disarray. You can't play with Spencer Rattler. I'm sorry, I've never bought that guy since high school. Never bought him in college. Can't buy him as an NFL quarterback. No idea how that happened. There's weapons on the Saints, obviously, but you can't use them if your quarterback can't get you the ball. So that's a problem in its own right. Kellen Moore's supposed to be supposedly some kind of offensive genius. Yeah, you can't make it work with this team. So you know what? This is another situation where coordinator gets a head coaching job, not working out so well yet. Defensively, you got nothing with the Saints as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, this one's the Seahawks. At the same time, Sam Darnold hasn't figured out how to be Sam Darnold up in Seattle either. So
right. And he's got weapons. He's got a weapon. He's got a good running game.
We got a great running game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think if Seahawks win this, I do see, as you mentioned a couple of times already, and we've talked about this before, I feel like some of these guys should have stayed where they were. Be a great offensive coordinator, not a shitty head coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see more and see if this changes, but I just can't see the Saints putting up any kind of a battle right now, and they just look bad. If they're going to be, we talked about the Dolphins being one of the worst teams. I think you could put the Saints in there. You could put the Bears in there as well.
Yeah. The Jets I want to give hope to if Justin Fields gets healthy. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And actually, the Jets, too. They belong in that same category.
Yep.
And speaking of the Bears, they're playing at home against the Cowboys. And just to let you know, you Cowboys fans, they're not America's team and haven't been for a long time. There's Jerry's team, but they're not America's team.
Very interesting matchup. Only because we still haven't bought into the whole Cowboys spiel. They got, frankly, dead lucky last week. The Giants should have won that game, I'm sorry to say.
I agree.
You surrendered, 40 points to the Giants, so that tells me you got defensive issues in its own right. However, Bears don't exactly look like the prettiest things in sliced bread either. Now, their defense is still good, so I will give the Bears some credit. They can hold their own against some decent teams, not the elites, but some of the decent teams. They're playing against an offensive team that's got some weapons, obviously, on the outside. I think either the Cowboys are going to smoke them on the outside with CD and Boy George,
Pickens.
whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, Boy George.
Yeah.
But I would love to see him do the Boy George move and sing Karma Karma Chameleon. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But the Bears offense sucks. And it sucks because of one man who you decided to draft at the top of the leaderboard with no experience, no nothing, a typical Chicago move. We can't say anything outside of that.
So right.
It's a classic Chicago move. And now you got a guy that spends more time in a nail parlor than he does on the actual field. Simple as that.
So right. So right. And I think people forgot Caleb might have some talents. Cutler had a strong arm. How did he turn out?
Exactly. Jay Cuddy, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, people forget. The USC didn't do that great his last year, did they?
The funny thing is you mentioned strong arm. This kid has overthrown every single freaking wide receiver I've ever seen in my life.
And this is where I'm having a problem because through 2 games and all of the games last year, to me, he still isn't NFL ready. He isn't able to process information in the time that's necessary. Exactly. He still is trying to understand how to run an offense under center versus having a head start by getting a shotgun snap and being able to see the defense. That scares me because Caleb is a number 1 pick. Not a number 1 pick in the first, for a team. He was the number 1 pick in the draft. And I think that every single quarterback picked after him in the first round looks way more NFL ready than he does.
Yep.
He still has that deer in the headlight.
This is what happens when you take a USC quarterback that's played a year in the lights and all that other crap. We've seen it historically ever since the days of Carson Palmer, I believe. I can go way back on this. I'm sorry, but there has yet to be a USC quarterback that's been successful ever. Mark Sanchez, no, butt fumble. Matt Leinart embarrassment in his own household, according to Alexa. I mean, what the hell? Poor guy.
Yeah, USC has duds in the pros.
Yeah, like I said, we can go down the list. Caleb Williams just another chalk up, just another chalk up to that list. It's sad.
I agree, and it's unfortunate because the Bears, they just need a change of ownership. They need to get real talent evaluators. And I'm sorry, you should learn from your mistakes. They made that same mistake with Mitch Trubisky, who played only a few games.
Yep.
And they made him, we're going to, trade our things away so we can move up in the draft. How did that work out? And then
as much as I don't like holding biases against colleges, but I'm sorry, you don't draft a football player from North Carolina. You draft basketball players. You don't draft football players. Just like you don't buy a football player from Duke, I
100% agree. Basketball, yes. Maybe even soccer or baseball, but football, unless they're on defense, don't draft them. But they're saying, Drake May looks a little bit better. Drake May went to North Carolina as well, but he played more games than Trubisky played when he was
played under a real coach as well. That's the other difference. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
that's true.
So there's some differences to that too. But no, like I said, Chicago being Chicago, I think this game could turn into a blowout. I'm going to go Cowboys on this one. I think it could turn into a blowout.
I see the same thing. I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm sorry. I got to bet with my pocket, not with my heart.
Right.
As much as I want the Bears to be good, they have not shown me anything. I'm, thinking that hiring Ben has been a good thing for the Bears, but I think Ben was used to having Porsches and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and his now he's got like a Pinto and a Yugo, and it's not quite the same.
It's sad not to see a Yugo on the road anymore. It's been a minute.
No, I'm sorry. It would be sad to see a Yugo on the road.
Those things were built to last, though. They were war-torn built cars. They were built out of iron. They were impressive to watch on the road.
Yeah, you're right. They look worn and torn or war-torn.
They were made out of the metal that was caused in the war. Like, it was impressive to see those things.
Hey, man, I had a friend of mine, Eric is his name. Rest in peace, Eric. He's a good guy. Eric Price, and he used to have a Yugo, and we would be embarrassed to get in the car with him. It'd be like, dog, first off, you sure it's going to start? Are we going to make it all the way there?
In Russia, car drives you. No,
Hey, you know what? If there still is a you go on the road, it's in Russia.
it's got to be. It's got to be. And like I said, I would love to see one on the road somewhere here. Normally, you see like an occasional classic car here and there. Usually, I haven't seen from that. Like I've seen Datsuns. I've seen all the cool craziness, the old Beetles, whatever. I'd love to see a you go on the road again.
Oh, that would be great. Okay, so next that we got up, so we got 3 more games left. Cardinals 49ers, another divisional matchup. Could be interesting. Not sure if Purdy's going to start or not, but I did hear it seemed like he's ready to go.
Right. Honestly, if Purdy plays and he's even 80%, I'll go with the Niners on this one. The Cardinals are on the come up, but they're still the Cardinals. I don't think they have that elite status and knock off the better teams just yet. I think they're always going to contend. They'll put up some points on the board. They still haven't figured out how to get their ball to their receivers, which is ridiculous considering how much talent you have on the field. That's a problem.
Yeah, when you got a receiving core and tight ends that you can't get the ball to, and you got Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's catching just a couple balls. Something's wrong.
Yep.
You should have a big play offense. You need to play like that. Kyler, I want to see you do more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, quit standing, below your O-line because that's where you stand. But quit being the door.
I'm gonna take another upset here.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on the 49ers. People had them as high as the third favorite in an NFC to win the NFC championship. I just am not sold on them. They're in a bit of disarray. Yeah. They need Ayuk. They don't have great receivers. Kittle's out. And I think sooner or later, their team's going to figure out if you can stop McCaffrey enough, you can stop the 49ers.
Well, and selfishly, I'm hoping that, McCaffrey has his annual injury. That way, Brian Robinson gets a start to kind of get going for fantasy purposes. But I also have Ricky Pearsall, and I think Ricky Pearsall is doing well.
I like Pearsall as well. Yep.
Yeah. So, but they need more firepower on offense. Like you said, no Ayuk, no Kittle. That hurts them, obviously.
Yep. And they're actually giving up some points. I think the Saints scored over 20 points when they played them. So it's just, not quite where they need to be for me to feel confident in saying that they are going to win any game. So I'll take the Cardinals on this one.
Fair enough.
This is the scary one. Before I even say the game, one team has been picked to win the Super Bowl just about every year, but hasn't beat the other team in their stadium in quite some time, or if at all. And that's the Chiefs against the Giants.
Yep. We can't win at the Meadowlands, which is kind of interesting. The Giants have a legitimate defense, and our offense right now is on the fritz. We can't figure out how to make a spark. Honestly, that was the reason that we lost the Eagles. The defense did their job, in my opinion. Kansas City defense held the Eagles in check for the most part. They couldn't get the work done on the offense, and obviously Kelsey dropped the ball and all that kind of stuff.
That was the game. That was the game. I'm sorry, Travis. You need to put some sticky on your hands because you got butterfingers, bro, and you need to stop running half-ass routes and actually look like you're in the game sometimes because he turned his head around slowly. He runs the route slowly. There were a couple of times during that game Mahomes tried to lead him, and he wasn't there. And I'm sorry, that's on the receiver, not on the quarterback. Run.
Without your two receivers right now and potentially Worthy not being there again, you've got to be a leader on the field. And he's got to be that guy. He's got to be that dude again that gets open in the field and gets the outlet valve for Mahomes when he's on the run. Because honestly, Mahomes is running too much.
He's running more than running back.
He got first downs magically like he always does, and it's great. But, at some point he's going to get decapitated by a quality defenseman. And frankly, the Giants have that firepower because they got scary folks up front between Thibodeau and all those other guys. They got some firepower. And
they got Carter too, right?
And I think that the Chiefs are honestly going to get a lot of pressure put on them on the front line to the point where we're going to have to throw the ball. So can we overcome that by getting the ball to Kelsey, getting the ball to Schuster, whoever else is out there, Gray, whoever? That's going to be the key to this game. I think it's going to be one in the trenches. Can our defense stop their offense? They should be able to. It's Russell Wilson, for God's sake. Chase him out of the pocket and have some fun. So I'm hoping that, Chris Jones has a game this time around, and I think he will. So then the defense will be ready, and this will be a Spagnuolo homecoming, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, to the Giants. So, I think he'll be game planning, but it's going to come down to, can we get the ball out to our receivers in this game? I'm going to go Chiefs. I think they break the curse of the Meadowlands, but it's not going to be a pretty game.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that. And we were talking about this before we, started our show. The Chiefs' running game is so inept that Mahomes is the leading rusher. Mahomes has the most 10-yard plus carries. That is not going to win in the NFL.
You know what I'd like to see this game? I'd like to see, Pacheco, okay, fine. I'd like to see Kareem Hunt come out of the flat, catch some short passes like we used to do with Jamal Charles.
Yes.
You remember?
Yep.
Catch him on the flat and let him do his thing. If you can do those quick side outlets left and right with like we do with Jamal Charles and several others historically with the Chiefs, that would be a big thing this game, I think.
That's funny because that was a Nagy favorite when he moved over to Chicago. Was a little 2-yard out and get 1 yard. But I think that they have better people than we had here. I do agree. They need to they need to be a little bit more creative on offense and figure out how to move the ball down the field and not do it at 3 yards at a time. That is not how you win in the NFL. And I've seen the Chiefs dink and dunk more than I've seen them do that since Mahomes got here. So
let's think back to the Muhammad Ali philosophy. You need to okey doke. So yeah, you throw in those little cheapy plays here and there, but then you open the field up.
Right.
You go top side, you find your receiver, and we have the capability of doing that. But I mean that's again, it's play calling at the end of the day. The play calling
was that Thornton?
Yeah.
He should be your weapon.
He should be the weapon.
And you know what? If the other guys can't stay healthy or can't catch the ball, get rid of him. Get somebody else.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, treat him the way that you treated Sky Moore. Go get a 4th rounder,
Yeah. I have the Chiefs as well. I just, sorry, just certain things. Certain teams have certain things. We were talking about it. The Dolphins are the Dolphins. The Jets are the Jets, and I'm sorry, but the Giants have been the Giants ever since they got rid of Saquon Barkley. So
they need a coaching change. I think they have the personnel on defense. I think they're building a good team, but Brian Daboll is not a head coach. It's a simple.
He needs to go back to offensive coordinators. I think he can develop quarterbacks, but he's not a head coach.
Exactly. Yep.
Last, but definitely not least, and to me, one of the most important games for both of these two teams, but also because both of these teams are great, it's a nice way to end the week on Monday night with the Lions visiting the Ravens.
Yep, big matchup here. Honestly, the Ravens have put up 8 points in 2 games. That's all I got to say. That offense is elite, and you can do it multiple ways. Week 1, you did it with the run game with Derrick Henry. Week 2, you did it with Lamar, just airing it out to whoever the hell wanted to catch a ball. It didn't really matter. It wasn't Mark Andrews, I can tell you that. But that said, I love their offense. I don't think the Lions have enough on defense to keep up with it. On the flip side, I don't think the Ravens defense has played to potential yet, which is why I still like the Ravens to win this game over the Lions. I think it'll be a relatively high-scoring game. I'm going to say upper 20s, low 30s across the board.
I think the Ravens, in my mind, Zay Flowers is not the guy you want to depend on every game to carry you. So they're going to have to get all the other weapons in place. I'm not sure what happened to their second tight end, but boy, they could use him.
He's still injured. I'm kind of stashing him on one of my liners, but yeah, he's still injured. He started the season in the preseason getting injured, but once he's back, I love where this offense can go.
I agree. But until then, what they need to do, and I get why, and this is part of my fantasy coach talking, first week, Derrick Henry went off. And the second week, what do you have? Like 12 carries for 12 yards or something like that? Yeah. I'm sorry. You got to figure out how to use the battering ram, and you better block for them and figure out how to use them in various ways. I know they like to go to Justice Hill and other people when you look at third down plays. But boy, if you thought we were talking about this just a minute ago, if you throw a ball to Derrick Henry in the flat and he gets ahead of steam, who's tackling him?
Good luck.
I wouldn't. I'd be to do that Olay defense and hope I could hit him on the ankle and trip him up.
There's not a linebacker in the league. There's not a linebacker in the league who wants to stand in front of that.
Well, and that's my point, and I feel like they're not doing a good job of utilizing that weapon. So I expect them to get more into that. Don't get me wrong, Lamar's great. He's shown that he can be a pocket passer. He has all of the attributes and all of the skills. However, Derrick Henry should be your who you lean on. And if you do it enough in the first half, by the time you get to the fourth quarter, nobody will want to tackle.
Stop you. And that's the thing. Again, going back to play calling, they got to mix it up enough to where there's not enough pressure on Lamar, there's not pressure on Derrick Henry. You're able to execute left, right, center, and have everybody jumping back and forth, just try to keep up with you. They should be able to do that.
Yeah, and also what happened to the QB option plays where Lamar would bust one out? They stopped doing that.
I don't know if it's Lamar trying to prove that he's a pocket passer, because I think he's proven it. But that's where I kind of question the play calling. I mean, you have 4 different ways you can attack when you're the Ravens. You can have Lamar passing to whoever it is. You can have Lamar running out on a sneak. You could have Derrick Henry out on a flat. You could have Derrick Henry running right through somebody. Why aren't you varying it up enough to where nobody's figuring out how to stop you?
Exactly. Now, here's something that I wanted to say, and I just going to sig a little bit, just to wrap a little bit. Yeah. The Lions looked horrible in week 1, and everybody was jumping off the roof saying, oh, my God, had not having been, it's going to impact them. They're not going to be any good. They lost Aaron Glenn. They look horrible. And then they played the Bears, which is an elixir for most teams.
Yes.
And they came back. They put a 50 burger on them, a 50 burger. You don't score 50 points in the NFL that often.
They ran it up.
And they just ran it up on the Bears. But what I want to know is, will the real Slim Shady please stand up?
Yeah.
That's who I want to see. Are you the Lions that we've seen the last couple of years? Are you the Lions who are still trying to figure themselves out and may get pummeled again by a good team, but be able to pummel bad teams?
Well, that's where I feel like I still don't think they don't have enough firepower on defense to be the elite. Offensively, obviously, they can do great for the Lions. Defensively, it's Hutchinson, and then what else? Honestly, and that's their problem.
That's true. They used to actually have some decent QBs, but they gave them all away. Slay's gone. All of these people that they've had, and that is where I felt like the Lions had it the last couple of years. That if their defense gave up 20, they could still score 30.
Exactly.
I'm not sure that's the same now. I'm not sure that the offense can score as much, and I'm not sure that the defense won't allow more points.
It's more compression. So honestly, if the game stays in the 20s, they've got a shot. As soon as Ravens hit 30, game over. Like, this is over. It's that. Yeah.
Plus, if the Ravens will do what I, as a Chiefs fan, love, one of the historical iconic comments from Hank Stram, if they can matriculate the ball down the field, the Lions are going to have some issues because they'll eat up clock, they'll be efficient, they'll score their points, and then the Lions are going to be, a little desperate and I'm sorry, I know Goff has had some of the great stats over the last couple of years, but I also remember the Goff that LA was willing to trade.
Goff has got an on valve and an off valve. That's the thing. The on valve is generally on about 60-70% of the time. The off valve kicks once every couple of weeks. It just goes cold. Can't get the ball out. Can't do anything. Running game goes cold. Like, it doesn't work for the Lions at times, and that's the reason they've got this. Like, they're not the pure elite. They're not the Ravens. To me, the Ravens are that elite team still.
Well, and I feel like if they could just get that god, like that Egyptian god, to keep playing, because he's a bad man. What's that Egyptian god's name? Alon St. Brown.
Yeah, Raw. What's happened to Equanimeous?
Love his name. I mean, they have all of the weapons on offense, but they need to utilize them effectively, and they need to get their defense to step up. I mean, if you put their offense as far as the wide receiving core with Williams and Brown, and you got Laporta at tight end, and you got Gibbs and Montgomery at running back, I mean, I think that's better than just about every offense, including the Ravens with Lamar, if you look at just the pieces there. But I just wonder if Goff is the right person to be steering that ship now that Ben is gone.
I mean, better than most. Let's put it that way. I mean, you'd rather have Goff than most of the quarterbacks that are out there. So it works, but it's a tough division, as we know, with the Packers on the ascendancy and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see how the Lions pair out. But at least for this Monday night matchup, I'm going Ravens. I think they're going to put up another 30-plus points. There's no question. This offense is just fun to watch.
I agree. And I think that this could be the year. And we were talking about this before we got on this morning. People are crowning Buffalo as the AFC championship at least. I don't know, man. They beat the Ravens the first game of the year. Yeah. That was the first game of the year.
40 in Buffalo.
And Buffalo shouldn't have lost. Baltimore should not have lost that game.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what I'm saying.
I think people are crowning Josh a little early. They're crowning the Bills a little early. And you may find out that Buffalo might not even be the second best team coming out of the AFC this year.
You know what? I'm still liking the Chargers, honestly. And I because I think they've got it on both sides of the ball. I think they're a bigger threat than the Bills are currently. Now, all three teams have to kind of figure out how they're going to play going into the playoffs. So the Ravens need to figure out more of a run game if they have to go to Buffalo, which could happen because of the way that the home field might work out. They're going to have to run the ball. Derrick Henry's going to have to be that dude, and Lamar's going to have to be the dude. And I think they can do it again. I think I like the chances there, but they've got to build up that play calling method. The Bills, they need a defense. They're giving up points. They don't have any star player. They don't have a star threat, that's going to go attack quarterback any game. They don't have that guy that can lean on defense. So that's going to be a problem. The Chargers, they're still on the come up. I mean, they have to stay healthy. That's their biggest problem. They're never healthy. If Herbert's down, somebody else is down, it just never works out balance-wise for them. So as long as that happens, I like those three teams somewhere. And of course, the wild card is our own Chiefs. If we can figure out how to right the ship, we're still there.
We can still be there. Right now, I'm not liking what I see.
Right.
I just feel like they're, the Chiefs have been lucky. If you really look at it the last couple years, it wasn't their offense winning the games. It was their defense winning the games.
Yep.
I just feel like you can't lean on that all the time and expect the defense, especially if you're doing things, and you mentioned the Bears defense and how they can be good. The Chiefs defense can be good, but if you turn the ball over, the worst thing for a defense is to stay on the field for a long-ass drive. You get the ball, it's 3 and out, or you turn the ball over, and now they're right back on the field, 10 minutes later.
Somebody had this stat, and it was actually kind of fun to watch. So if you look at the amount of time the Chiefs offense has been on the field during the season versus what it was in the playoffs, you see a stark difference. Mm-hmm. The offense has been on the field less during the regular season, which put the defense on the field more, which obviously got them tired and got them to lose games. Conversely, in the playoffs, the offense have stayed on the field. We worked the clock better, rested the defense, and the defense being able to dial up at the appropriate times to take advantage, and that's what's really helped us during the playoffs. Same thing can happen with any one of these teams as long as they can do the proper thing. That's where I think the Ravens and the Chiefs are the best options going forward to be able to do that. But again, it's going to be between now and the December how each of these teams can develop their play calling to help that cause. The Chiefs, obviously, we've mentioned all the flaws we have right now. So there's a lot to work on, a lot more than other teams, I think.
Sure.
Work on.
Well, and I think also, and this may be something minor, but I wonder how much the preseason impacts the regular season. You used to have 4 games, now you have 3. Most of the teams don't even play their guys anymore during the preseason. Heck, Aaron Rodgers didn't play a game, did he?
I think some of that warrants concession especially this stage, the first 3-4 weeks. But now, I mean, people should be kind of hitting in like, hey, we felt real shoulder pads, we felt real pain. It should be settling in.
And that's my thing. I think that, with the extra game that you have, as well as the fact that with the preseason, you're not getting as much of the reps that you need to see from a football, real action standpoint. Practice is one thing. You're not trying to hurt each other. You're not trying to do this. The guy's not running, top speed at you. You get in a real game, like you said, you hit the pads, and I remember playing, you get pad hits. That's a hell of a lot different than not getting hit with a pad. Yeah. When you go over the middle and this guy's trying to knock your head off, that's a lot different than catching the ball over the middle when you're in practice.
Absolutely.
So I think that these guys are hopefully by week 3, before week 5, they're starting to get the better understanding of how to run their offense, how it's actually going to play on the field, and the feeling of that versus the idea of all summer long not really being hit, not really having to worry about a whole lot. So we'll see how these teams develop over the next couple of games. And I think these games are going to be key, because if you start out the gate 0-3 or you end up 1-3, odds of you making the playoffs are slim and none. So
think about Chiefs being 0-3 after this week. That'd be a little bit of a scary proposition.
And that was who I was thinking of, was the Chiefs, who they're the perennial, Super Bowl picks. We look good, but boy, this year is a little shaky. And I don't think they have looked good. And it scares me that if they lose 3 games and they still have to play the Chargers again, and they still have to play the Broncos, and they still have a tougher schedule, so they're going to play some of these harder teams. What I don't understand is this, and I'm going to ask you this question before we sign off. How is it that the Bills have such an easy schedule to start the first what, like 8-9 games of the season?
Yeah, I mean, again, spin of the dial. It's the NFL. You know, they do all that crap, and I don't know if some of it's manipulated or not. It is what it is. I mean, the Chiefs have to play the Giants this week, and then they play the Ravens next week. For God's sakes, that makes it even tougher. You know,
well, we've already played the Eagles and the Chargers, whereas the Bills played the Ravens, and then the rest of the teams that they played, I get it. Part of it is because they're in the AFC East and they play weak teams in the AFC East, but that's only 6 games out of 17. So how is it that they were a playoff team that was on the cusp of reaching the Super Bowl? How are they this now? Like, how are they able to have such a weak ass schedule?
And spin of the dial. I mean, I think they're matching up with the NFC South this year, so that obviously helps them in their own right? Like that's the other thing. So it just depends on how the rotational compass spins every year, obviously. And then of course the elite games they throw in every season with 2 or 3 of those with every team, just like we get the off-brand game against the Ravens this year or whatever, and we get the off-brand game with the Bills and all that stuff. Like it just happens. That's another one. We still play the Bills. Right. That's what I'm doing. Like the Chiefs have a brutal schedule to start the season,
and that's what I'm saying. So it's
possible. That's all as being 0-6.
Well, that's the thing. They theoretically could be 0-5, 0-6, and you're not going to get to the playoffs that way. And that would be quite a change from what people anticipated, what they projected, but more importantly, what our team is used to having as far as winning games and being.
One thing I like there is because we've got the suspension with Rice and we've got a slow start and everything else. I like the fact that our bye week is not until like later in the season, because that I think helps, because that'll help for a reset going into November, December. I think between now and then, if we can play 500 ball, I'll be happy. But until then, you still got to get to 500 ball.
Exactly. And honestly, Kelce has done more harm the first 2 games of the season. I'm not saying you lost the games, Travis, but I'm just saying, like,
player and you dropped the game-winning touchdown. I'm sorry.
Well, let's see. You knocked out the top receiver, and you dropped. Not only did you drop the game-winning touchdown, or potentially at least get the lead, you turned into almost a pick 6 that turned the game totally around, and there was no way for the Chiefs to recover after that, even after the long pass to Thornton.
Yeah, so, it's 2 game-changing plays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for you. You got Taylor and all of that. Great catch, whatever, all of that stuff. But, man, you need to get your mind into football. I'm tired of hearing excuses, and I know you're towards the end. I feel like you're going to retire after this year. But, boy, you need to do something.
You need to finish with a ring, and you better put
Hey, what's going on, bro?
That's all I can say.
Yep. You too.
He's got to finish with a ring. That's the thing. Like he needs that. He needs that crowning achievement. He's got to put that effort in. I think he wants it. He's got to figure out how to do better at this point. And I think that's the other thing. He's got to have command of that locker room. I get that he's got the other persona outside of football and all that, and people can make fun of him in the locker room. It's like, oh, you got Taylor. Don't worry about it. You'll just be sugar boy or whatever. Whatever you call him. I don't care. Either way, he's got to get back to being like what was it? What was the movie Malibu's Finest? Remember the white dude that was trying to pretend he was black or whatever it was in the movie?
I never saw it.
Travis Kelce needs his swagger back. He needs to get his street cred back.
That's what he's like. He needs to have that swagger. He used to be like the brother on the corner, like the white dude who was just like all the other brothers. What happened to that? What happened to that guy?
The stanky leg in a while. So we need to bring that back. You need to catch an end zone pass and you put the stanky leg back.
Yeah, exactly. Bring the stanky leg back. And stop trying to become the stay-at-home husband too early, dude.
Exactly.
You still have a career, you still have an obligation. You play like you want something. And that was the other thing we talked about. If anything, what I want Andy Reid and his 3 burgers a day attitude, I think all of them should go on like a low-cal diet and make them hungry, because they don't play like they're hungry when they're on the field. And if there's anything that and I think this goes back to something I mentioned with Baker Mayfield. When you're hungry and you want something, you play with a passion and desire that elevates your abilities. The Chiefs are going the other way.
I had a tennis coach who taught me exactly that when I was a kid. I was fortunate to have that gift. Thank you, Larry Heflin. Where we had a dynasty of winning tennis over and over and over and over. We had a dynasty of winning our region. We had a dynasty of competing for state, everything else going. But every year, his focus was, you're not good enough. The other kid in the district's going to beat you. You better build a chip on your shoulder. Complacency breeds failure. Simple as that.
Exactly right.
And that's what's got to be overtaken in the same situation. You've got complacency from having been to so many Super Bowls, how many championships, everything else. You got to get that swagger back. You got to get that hunger you had in year one back to win against the other teams. The other teams are just getting better and better every year because they know they got to up their game to get to you.
Right.
Now they're and above you.
Right.
You got to get back.
Yes, we used to set the standard, but I feel like we're chasing a lot now, and we need to get out of that mode. And something needs to happen this week so that the team understands how serious things are right now. Like this is
I would love to see like a 30-17 game where I'd see like the offense produces, the defense holds serve. That would serve me a lot of confidence going into the future weeks for the Chiefs.
Well, and the bad thing is this. They're expected to beat the Giants. I mean, I think they're not even that
big. Probably there, yeah, but the Giants have a legitimate defense. I'm sorry to say.
And this is my problem.
Yep.
You know, you go to a team that historically, hey, we should be able to beat this team. These are the Giants, right? Well, that's how you end up losing.
Yep.
And if they lose against the Giants, then I think you're going to hear up the panic and everybody on every.
All I want to hear is let Russ cook. If I hear that, I'm in disappointment mode. I don't hear no let Russ cook crap.
Well, that's the thing, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it on Get Up or any other TV show or Stephen A. How horrible the Chiefs are.
It's going to be falling Monday if we lose. Don't get me wrong. The sky's going to be falling. ESPN's going to be like, oh, the Chiefs are done. They should burn. Andy Reid should retire. Yada yada yada. I'm tired of this crap.
Well, and conversely, and I don't know if conversely is the right word, but similarly with the Bears.
Yeah.
The Bears, there's a reason to be concerned. And you used to be here as well.
Bring on Tyson Bagent. That's what I say after this week. If the Bears lose, bring on Tyson Bagent. Let him take the field.
That's funny because my second mom, and bless your heart, Pat, she's 80. And she said that at the beginning of the year because we talked about the fact that Caleb hasn't lived up to his billing. And she said, fuck him, put him back. And I don't disagree.
Bagent's hungry. You could tell. Like the way he played preseason, that kid's hungry.
I don't disagree. Maybe that's what Caleb needs to see. Like, hey, you know what? This isn't just given to you. You have to earn it.
Yep.
And I don't feel like he's earned it up to this point.
I feel like Caleb Williams has been given everything in his life. Literally. He does not strike me as a guy, not even having watched that much of him, as a kid that's ever had to earn anything in his life.
100% agree. 100% agree. And he also said at the beginning of the draft, or right before the draft, that he didn't want the Bears to pick him.
I remember that.
Yeah, think about that. He didn't want you to pick him. And now he's on your team and he's playing like this.
Yep.
You could have gotten any of these other quarterbacks. Heck, Jaden, did people think he was going to be that great? Maybe not, but there were quite a few people who picked him ahead of Caleb.
Yep.
Bo Nix, Penix.
Yep.
There's one more. Heck, JJ McCarthy. So I'm just, maybe what you said is exactly right. He's never had to work hard for anything. So therefore, he doesn't have that drive and the passion and the desire you need for somebody.
Derogatory statement by me, but I feel like everybody at USC has been that way. Doesn't matter who you are in the history of time, football or not. I feel like everything's just served you in a silver spoon if you go to USC.
I don't disagree with you there. There have been some great players that have come from there. But I feel like, again, maybe that's the thing that doesn't make them NFL ready is because they've been sitting in the sun and relaxing and, playing weak ass schedules.
Matt Leinart. I mean, take your pick. All these guys.
Every single one. You said it. Carson Palmer was probably the best USC quarterback that I can think of in the last few decades.
Something people don't talk about is like every year at USC from like the 90s to the 2000s and 2010s, they had some stud wide receivers. None of them have been in the NFL. None. Mike
Williams,
that's not
true. Keyshawn Johnson.
Well, Keyshawn was way back. Keyshawn was
true.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he's back. He's like mid 90s, whatever. I'm talking like since that time when you had the Carson Palmers and everybody else, they've always had a stud wide receiver. None of them are in the NFL. None. Mike Williams, garbage. There was some guy that the Chiefs took, I think, from USC. That dude sucked too. Everybody. I could go down the list. It's just ridiculous if I looked up a list, but it's unreal. And again, kids who've just been given something. Versus, honestly, the best culture I've seen right now is all these wide receivers coming out of LSU.
LSU's always been great.
Hungry because they come from the Bayou, baby. They
in the Bayou. That's right. It's like we're gonna fight you on the field, and guess what? We got to fight a little bit off the field.
Yeah, we got to go fight our gator for our meal.
Well, on that note, this looks to be another great week of football. Every week of football is great, regardless of which teams play, because that's why this is truly America's #1 sport.
Absolutely. It's fun to watch and everything else, but this week is definitely going to be dominated by football. Now, next week, in addition to football, I would like to talk something called the Ryder Cup. It is an exceptional event every year. It brings about what I think is the best in golf, rivalry. And you get to see some of the best things that happen when you pair certain people together, and you see some unbelievable golf being played. And it's going to be played at a magical place at Bethpage. I think it's going to be a hell of a thing to watch next weekend.
I do agree. The Ryder Cup is one of those things different than any other sport where you have this camaraderie.
National pride.
Yeah, and pride. This is where I have an issue.
Yep.
You talk about pride and we talk about that team atmosphere. The Europeans kick our butt. You know why? Because this is just me talking, my perspective. We are the capitalistic individual kind of focused kind of, a nation. Europe, they play with each other all week. They have fun with each other. They do that. Heck, even this new league that they set up, the Dubai League, whatever, they have teams in that. We don't have a team. It's cutthroat. I'm all about myself. The sports have been the ones who don't speak to people the most,
Why do you think Tiger never had pure success at the Ryder Cup? He was
Exactly. I don't think they value it like the Europeans value it.
Yeah, I mean, think back that Jose Maria Olazabal and Colin Montgomery, the two things that were like quintessential team players in Europe in the history of time. Yeah, they each won a major or something like that, and they weren't like the grand stars of golf. But those dudes know how to play golf.
That's right. That's right. Even though I didn't like Colin Montgomery, love everybody that comes from Spain. Everybody, even Sergio.
Yep.
Sergio. But we'll see what happens with that. It'll be interesting. Are the teams set? I didn't look to see. I know that they
have named the full 12-man rosters. Yes,
okay.
We'll go over that next week.
So I'm curious to see. So is Keegan Bradley going to play as well as coach?
Supposedly so. I mean, he did finish in the top 10, so he is a quality golfer, and he's going to have to coach and play, so it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see what pairings the U.S. comes up with, because it'll be very interesting to see, like, who do you pair, all of our top guys with back and forth. Do you put a DeChambeau with a, with anybody, honestly?
I was just about to say, who do you put him with? Yeah. And definitely don't put him with Scheffler.
Yeah, I was saying DeChambeau, Scheffler, that'd be an odd pairing. Morikawa, I mean, take your pick. There's a lot of odd situations there. Whereas in Europe, I can come up with easy pairings across the board. You put in the two boys from Ireland together, boom, they're gonna kill you.
This is what I'm talking about. I just feel like, just like you just said, it's easy to see how the Europeans could pair their players to put a winning combination together.
Yep.
And we don't see that with the individual. I can't even say it today. Individualistic kind of approach that the U.S. has to the sport. Not the same thing when you're playing team.
Brand.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Let's ride that out. But before we get there, are you ready for some football?
We need Hank Williams back. That's what I miss on TV.
No, man, some of these songs, I'm just like, really? I mean,
Aaron
Knight, tonight, all that's great. But yeah, I miss a little Hank Williams. Are you ready?
Yes. You can bring back, even if you bring back an ensemble of like him, Faith Hill, and Carrie Underwood, that would be great. I think that would work well,
And I'm sorry, I'm not a Shabuzi fan or Shabuli or whatever his name is. Sorry, just don't show him anymore, please.
That one's a tough one on Amazon Prime.
All right, well, we bid you a great weekend that's upcoming. Hope that you enjoy your time away from work. May you get a chance to sit back with your favorite drink, get some good food, and watch the sporting weekend. Not only NFL, but you got college. You also have the WNBA playoffs that are going on, and you also have the end of the baseball season where you have a lot of teams still in play.
We'll get into some of that chatter. We'll get into some of that chatter over the next few weeks as baseball becomes more relevant in our world.
Exactly, 100% agree. I only watch it like from now. It's like for me, college basketball.
Yeah.
While I watch it sparingly throughout the
Get
season,
me to March.
March Madness comes,
Yeah.
I try to watch every darn game that's there for the whole 60, 64,
Exactly.
65
Get me
games.
to March. In this case, get me to September, get me to October in baseball. Same premise.
Yeah.
On that note, we will see you guys next week. We'll see how our picks do and go from there.
Wish you all well. Be blessed. And thank you for your time and for your support.
Thank you, guys.